الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أما بعد, to continue inshallah our halaqa that is targeting the fiqh of Ramadan and also covering the differences that happen between the madahibs, between the two schools of thought. The madhab al-Maliki and the madhab Shafi'i and the madhab al-Hanbali and also al-Hanafi. And our intention to bring all these differences is to have the idea of understand that the difference that happened between the madahibs or the fuqaha was not meant to differentiate people, to divide the people. Rather, it's an expansion of the knowledge of the deen and also it's a blessing for the whole entire ummah. None of them fabricated or added something. Rather, they took everything
medical association
from the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. So whatever they say, even if they have differences, each one of them will bring their proof, their evidence, and the reason why they hold on to their point of view. So alhamdulillah, I want to understand that and also to have a correct understanding of the greatness of our religion.
Sorry.
Okay. Now, the greatness of our religion. So we did cover many things in terms of the fasting, which is the obligatory fasting, the pillars of fasting, which we covered like two of them. Their time frame, which is the period, and also the staying away from anything that can break your fasting. So these are legal procedures that the Sharia put there, that if you do it, you're good. Your action is valid. If you do not, your action is not valid. But the Sharia or the fiqh does not extend to is it accepted or not. That is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows, who's accepted. He's only who knows who's accepted and who's not accepted. But to make the action valid, you must go through the fiqh. You must go through the fiqh. So the third principle or pillar of fasting is intention. Is the intention. So talking about intention in Ramadan, so many questions will rise. So I want each one of you to listen to the questions, inshallah, and we will go through the answers. The first question that will rise when we start talking about intention is intention a condition in validating the fasting or not? And one question. And if it is a condition, is it sufficient just to mention in the beginning of fasting or not? Also, is it required to renew the intention every day or not? And also, if a person perform the intention in a specific time before fasting, say the beginning of the month of Ramadan, that enough to cover the whole entire month of Ramadan? Or if the person did not perform intention and they fasted today, is that day valid or is not valid? And also, what is intention itself? How do we perform intention? How do we perform intention? So all these questions, the ulama, they disagreed. The fuqaha, they disagreed. All these questions that we talked about, they disagreed, and we'll see, inshallah, their disagreement. He said, أما كون النية شرطا في صحة الصيام فإنه قول الجمهور. So the first question that we ask, that intention is a condition for the fasting to be valid. That is the saying of al-jumhur, the saying of jumhur, which means all of them, they said that, except few of them, and few of those people are not among the fuqaha al-arba'a. So here, the fuqaha arba'a, Imam Malik, Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi'i, and Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, all of them, they agreed that intention is a condition for the fasting to be valid. For the fasting to be valid. I will mute somebody right now. Sorry, guys. So intention, we said the fuqaha, they agreed that is a condition for the fasting to be valid. That is number one thing that we have to understand. And the only people, or the people who disagree on the of the fuqaha of Arba'a, people who disagree, they said, لا يحتاج رمضان إلى نية إلا أن يكون الذي يدركه صيام رمضان مريضا أو مسافرا ويريد الصوم. The people, which is مسألة which is خلاف شاذ, which is very narrow. And when I say narrow, means there is no proof for what they say, or it's not based upon a strong proof. So they said, as soon as Ramadan comes, your mind will come to fasting. He said that is enough. You should not do any intention, and that is not based on any evidence. So now we have two. In terms of the first question, is fasting or is niyyah, intention, a condition in validating one fasting? The fuqaha, they agreed that intention is a condition for one's fasting to be valid. On the other side, it means if a person did not have intention, they fast, their intention is not valid. Their fasting is not valid, it's wrong. They have no fasting. And we'll also bring Abu Hanifa, he has a specific saying in terms of intending, also we'll bring that. But here, the four fuqaha, they agreed that intention is a condition for one's fasting to be valid. And one narrow difference that happened between the other fuqaha who are not part of their four, they said no. As soon as Ramadan comes, there is no need for intention. It comes with the intention, which has no base. Now let's see the reason for their differences. The first reason is they assume that the people who said no, they assume that fasting comes with its intention. As soon as it comes, there is no other fasting that can be done within the month of Ramadan except month of Ramadan. So there is no need for the person to intend anything else. There is no need for the person, even if they intend something that is different than the month of Ramadan, it's not going to work, because at that time, the only thing that you can do is fast the month of Ramadan. So they said it's common sense. So if it is common sense, then we don't need to perform the intention. But this statement, as we said, is weak and is not strong. It's not strong. So we will just explain the chosen one. The chosen one is fasting needs intention. Without intention, the fasting will not be there. It's as a condition, as a condition. And some of them, they said, no, the fasting, the intention, or the fasting that comes is something that we cannot base its action on our common sense. It should be something that we have to have an evidence saying that do it this way or don't do it this way. And intention is part of the thing that were mentioned in the Sharia that has to build, the action has to be built upon that. So still, the fuqaha, the jumhur, they are backing up their statement by saying that we cannot just say the month of Ramadan comes with the intention and it's common sense. No one can fast anything else other than it, then we don't need to have intention. No. So they are trying to push that back, that if we want to use common sense in one ibadah, then that can be expanded to another ibadah. Then that will create a lot of problems. So the ibadah should be shay tawqifi. That's something that the Sharia, the fiqh will tell you to do it or not to do it. Now, so this is the first difference that they happen. So as for the intention that people need to do in the month of Ramadan, when and how. So Imam Malik rahimahullah, he said, so now we're going to go, now the madhahib, the Arba'ah, they agreed what I just said. Now they have differences in when and how. So when we say when, let's start with Imam Malik rahimahullah. He said, لا بد في ذلك من تعيين صوم رمضان لا يكفيه اعتقاد الصوم مطلقا ولا اعتقاد صوم معين غير صوم رمضان. So Imam Malik rahimahullah, he said, it's a requirement for the person to specifically have the intention of fasting the month of Ramadan. To intend that they are fasting the month of Ramadan, and they should not say, I am just fasting any other month. No, they should include while intending that I intend to fast the month of Ramadan. So now we have two kinds of intentions. Number one is to intend to fast the month as a month of fasting, and the intention of fasting the days of the month of Ramadan. So Imam Malik rahimahullah, he said, his first statement is, the person has to, it's a requirement for the person to specify his intention. It cannot be generalized. It has to be specified by saying, I have the intention, or by intending that I want to fast the month of Ramadan. That should be your initial intention. So this is what Imam Malik rahimahullah said. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he said, إِنِ اعْتَقَدَ مُطْلَقَ الصَّوْمِ أَجْزَاهُ. If a person comes and intend general fasting without specifying the month of Ramadan, that is sufficient. So he said, when the month of Ramadan comes, the person is not required to say or to intend that I am intending to fast the month of Ramadan. Rather, he can just say, I am intending to fast, and that's sufficient. So it's like a slight difference between him and Imam Malik. Imam Malik want the person to specifically intend fasting the month of Ramadan. Abu Hanifa said, it's enough for the person to intend fasting, to intend just fasting, because it's going to automatically be Ramadan, because there's no other fasting. So there's a slight difference between the Malikis here and the Hanafis here. Now, and he said also, وَكَذَلِكَ إِنَّوَا فِيهَا صِيَامَ غَيْرِ رَمَضَانَ أَجْزَاهُ. He said also, if the person intend in the month of Ramadan to fast something else other than the month of Ramadan, that also is sufficient. He can do that. He can do that. He said, if he do that, انقلب إلى صيام رمضان إلا إن كان مسافرا. Even if he intended, I wanted to fast, like say Monday, I want to fast Sunnah, and that happened to be in the day of the month of Ramadan, Imam Abu Hanifa said that fasting will automatically move from the Sunnah to the Farad, because you cannot fast the Sunnah within in the Farad. But he said the intention will automatically be changed to move from Farad, from Sunnah to Farad. Difference than what Imam Malik rahimahullah said. He said, because if you specify, then you don't have this problem. But Imam Abu Hanifa, he said, even if you intend to fast other days, other than the month of Ramadan, but it become clear to you that today is a month of Ramadan, you don't have to change or transform the intention, but it automatically change by itself. He said, except if the person is traveling. He said, if the person is traveling, فإنه إذا نوى المسافر عنده في رمضان صيام غير رمضان كان ما نوى. So Abu Hanifa, he said, but if the person intend to fast other days, other fasting, other than the month of Ramadan, and he was a traveler, his intention cannot be automatically changed to the month of Ramadan. He will have what he intended to fast for. His fasting will be limited to what he intended to fast for. So this is if he is a traveler. If he's a traveler, لأنه لم يجب عليه صوم رمضان وجوبا معينا, because he said, because fasting the month of Ramadan while traveling is not a specific obligation upon this person. ولم يفرق صاحبه صاحبه بين المسافر والحاضر. And his followers, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, his followers, he made a difference. He separated between the person who's traveling and the person who's not traveling. But his followers in his madhab, they didn't make any difference. They said they didn't differentiate anything. They said if he is staying at home, intend to fast other days other than the month of Ramadan, his intention will automatically change to the month of Ramadan. And his followers also said, his students, they said, even if he's traveling, his fasting will automatically change to the month of Ramadan. But Imam Abu Hanifa himself, he said, no, his fasting will stay as he intended for. What he intended for. وقال كل صوم نوي في رمضان انقلب إلى رمضان. His companion said, any fasting that is intended in the month of Ramadan, that was not intended for the month of Ramadan, will automatically change to be a fasting of the month of Ramadan. So within his madhab, there are differences. Himself said, if the person is traveling and intend to fast other than the month of Ramadan, his fasting will be what he intended for. But his followers in his madhab said, if a person intended fasting other days in the month of Ramadan, even if they are traveling, their fasting will automatically change to be fasting of the month of Ramadan. But then we have three differences in two madhahibs. Imam Malik said the person it's a requirement for the person in the beginning of the month of Ramadan to say, intend. Within his intention, he has to specifically limit fasting the month of Ramadan. Imam Malik rahimahullah. And this is a consensus among his madhab. So this is his madhab in madhab Maliki. Abu Hanifa said, no, the person can intend whatever they want to intend, even within the month of Ramadan, by fasting other days. But he said, if he is traveling, his fasting will stay as it is, which means his fasting will be what he intended for. But if he is staying, not traveling, his fasting will automatically change to be the fasting of the month of Ramadan. Within the same madhab, his companions said, no, if he is traveling, intend in the month of Ramadan to fast other days other than the month of Ramadan, his fasting will automatically change to the fasting of the month of Ramadan. So we have three opinions in two madhabs. One is a consensus within madhab al-Maliki, and within madhab al-Hanafi we have two opinions within the same madhab. So the reason of their disagreement here is the question that they will ask themselves is هل الكافي في تعيين النية في هذه العبادة هو تعيين جنس العبادة أو تعيين شخصها. They said the question that they will ask and have different answers is it a requirement or is it sufficient just to intend fasting the month of Ramadan or fasting the days of the month of Ramadan? Is a question that they have, and they have differences in answering the question. وَذَلِكَ أَنَّ كِلَا الْأَمْرَيْنِ مَوْجُودٌ فِي الشَّرْعِ. The reason why, because both of the issues are provided in the Sharia, in the fiqh. In the fiqh is included. Let's say example, if a person, to limit the whole entire ibadah as a whole, generally, or to specify it specifically. The example of that is the intention in wudu. The intention of the wudu. If a person is intending to make a wudu, they are just intending to make a wudu to perform ibadah. So within the same wudu, they can pray asr, they can recite the Quran, they can pray dhuhr, they can make a tawaf, they can do anything that they want with that wudu. So by having the intention of the wudu, you are not limiting the wudu for specific thing. You are not saying that I am intending to perform a wudu just for salatul dhuhr, just for salatul dhuhr. No, rather you just gonna make the wudu, so the wudu will cover everything. And this is something that is in their like they call it jins. Whenever you mention the item of the ibadah, anything that is connected with the ibadah will have the same ruling. So some of them said, okay, because of the month of Ramadan is fasting, and the obligatory of it is a specified month. So because of it's a specified month, if it comes with a package of intention. So in the beginning, if you have that intention, that should be enough. Even if you, by accident or intentionally, if you intend something else other than the month of Ramadan, that intention will not be valid, will be automatically changed to the month of Ramadan. So they said it will automatically change to the month of Ramadan. Now, so this is the opinions that happen in terms of specifying coming to fast the month of Ramadan or not. So the other madhahib, they didn't talk about it because they just said intention is a condition in every ibadah. So each particular ibadah should be accompanied with intention. The intention comes first, and then the ibadah will come. The ibadah will come. And also they have difference in إذا نوى في أيام رمضان صوما آخر هل ينقلب أو لا ينقلب. The same thing, the same argument that happens here. If the person intend and start fasting other days other than the month of Ramadan, can that automatically change or not? The same argument that happened here, because they said أن من العبادة عندهم من ينقلب ومن من قبل أن الوقت الذي توقع فيه مختص بالعبادة التي تنقلب إليه ومنها ما ليس ينقلب أما التي ينقلب فأكثرها أما التي لا تنقلب بالاتفاق. Now, So there are ibadat, there are worships that can change, can transform. Which means, for example, I'll give an example in terms of performing sunnah. We know that reciting the Quran is one of the best things that you can do, or if it is not the best thing that you can do. But there are times doing something else will be better than reciting the Quran. Or let's say prayer is the greatest pillar in Islam. But there are times doing something else will be only correct than doing the prayer. Let's take, for example, when a person is making adhan. When you come, while he's making adhan, the sunnah is to repeat what the person is saying. This is not something that is based on common sense, but it's based on authentic proofs that the Prophet ﷺ said, if the person is making adhan, repeat what he's saying. So if a person comes and say, you know what, repeating this is way less than praying, so I'd rather have praying than repeating this, we'll tell you, brother, no, because you are trying to use your common sense, but then the dalil itself is there. So here we'll take the less and make it the best temporarily with that period of time, with that time frame. The best cannot be better than what is less than it at that moment. So then repeating what the muaddin is saying will be better than the prayer, will be better than praying. So this is just an example to give you some of the ibadat that can be stronger, but just in a specific place. But also there are ibadat that when you do them, they can transform by transforming the niyyah. Some of them you have to intentionally transform the intention. Some of them will automatically transform themselves. One of them is like performing the Hajj. Before I come to that, but then the intention can be transformed automatically or manually. Manually is somebody is praying. An example of that: somebody is praying, let's say, Dhuhr by himself in the masjid. He's praying Dhuhr by himself in the masjid. When he said Allahu Akbar, he started praying, and then another jama'ah came, or he finished his Dhuhr. He finished his Dhuhr by himself. When he said Assalamu alaikum, another person came, or another group came, they want to pray Dhuhr. So he can manually change his intention to make the Dhuhr that he prayed sunnah and join these people, pray with them, and have more reward. So he will have sunnah at the same time. He will not nullify his salah, but he will have the sunnah valid and have the jama'ah also valid. Also, before he says Assalamu alaikum, if he have the hope that people are coming and he can pray with them, while he's praying, he can transform his prayer. He can manually transform his intention by changing what he's praying, that is farad to sunnah. Farad to sunnah. Also, but that has to be a niyyah. Transforming the niyyah has to come from top going down. What do I mean about that? As the salah, the prayer that is obligation, you can change the intention by coming down to the sunnah. But you cannot change the niyyah from the sunnah to the farad. Like for example, somebody is praying 2 raka'ah of Tahiyat al-Masjid, for example, or any 2 raka'ah. And then another person joins him, and he said, okay, this person joins me, I will change my sunnah to farad. That cannot happen. So the niyyah always, the transformation of the niyyah has to come from the top, from the fard salah to the sunnah salah. But it cannot be from the sunnah salah to the fard salah. but also it can be between the fard. Somebody can have fard and change the niyyah to another fard. For example, you are praying Asr and you forget to pray Dhuhr. Till you say Allahu Akbar. You can transform your niyyah from praying Asr to praying Dhuhr. You can just automatically, say, I intend to pray Dhuhr, but now I transform my Dhuhr to Asr, and can be Asr. So when you pray from Asr to Dhuhr, so it becomes Dhuhr automatically. So you don't have to say Assalamu alaikum or anything. You just have to transform the niyyah intentionally, because the niyyah we don't mention it with our tongue, but inside your mind you can just say, okay, not Asr anymore, it's Dhuhr, because I did not pray Dhuhr. So that become Dhuhr. So you see, it can go within the same level of prayers. The fard and fard can be transformed. The sunnah and the sunnah can be transformed. Fard to sunnah can be transformed, but not from sunnah to fard. Sunnah to fard. Now, so this is, and also in terms of the Hajj also, they said, and this is agreed upon the ulama, all of them, because the Hajj has specific time. And if a person start performing a Hajj, that's just sunnah, voluntary Hajj, and then people reminded him that you did not perform the Hajj that were obligated upon you, the fard Hajj. Then the ulama, they agreed that the Hajj that he performed or he's performing automatically changed to the fard. Another example, he performed his Hajj, and that's it. Let's say, for example, somebody went to the Hajj and they didn't perform, and this is a very good example. They didn't perform the Hajj that is obligated for them. They went to the Hajj and performed Hajj for somebody else. For example, they went to Hajj and performed for their parents, for example. But they did not perform their own personal obligatory Hajj. The ulama, they said that Hajj will automatically transform to them, because the Hajj was made obligation upon them. At the same time, it was also put in order, which means that you cannot do Hajj, any kind of a Hajj, except after you complete performing your own Hajj. And some of the ulama, that's the reason why sometimes we as people who maybe this is from immigrants, sometimes we travel, we provide, fare and expense of a Hajj for somebody else, and they go perform the Hajj while we did not perform the Hajj. That is wrong. That is wrong Islamically, because of the Prophet ﷺ, when he heard, the person while he's performing the Hajj in the miqat of the Hulayfa, he said, "Labbaika Suburma," which means I am here on behalf of Suburma. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, "Waman Suburma? Who is Suburma?" He said, "Akhi." He said, "My brother." He said, "Medina, he cannot come because he's ill." The Prophet ﷺ, "No." He said, "Hujja anka thumma an Suburma." He said, "Make your Hajj for yourself first. You cannot make a Hajj for Suburma before making a Hajj, before completing the obligation Hajj that you have." So then the person automatically automatically transformed to his own Hajj. So I'm not saying that people who already give money to or pay expenses for the people that they know or their relatives or their parents who go to perform the Hajj, that their parents' Hajj will transform to them. No, because of they did not perform the Hajj by themselves. Rather, they give them the money, the expenses to go their own Hajj. So they granted them the money, not the Hajj. So those people, when they perform the Hajj, they have their Hajj, but you provided the money and the expenses of the Hajj for them. But let's say if the case was you went by yourself and performed the Hajj for them, then they will not have Hajj. You will have the Hajj first. You'll have the Hajj first. Now, so then the Hajj, you cannot perform the Hajj before performing Hajj tatawwu' or Hajj for somebody else before performing your own your own Hajj. So that has to be something that we have to understand. So these are the difference that they have in the niyyah in terms of specifying it into something. So now they have another issue. If a person, the people who fought about the niyyah moving automatically, or the niyyah not moving automatically, people who say it moves automatically, they similarize the sawm, the fasting, with the hajj, the same thing. And people who said no, it has to be specified, they similarize, they make it similar, they made it similar to the next other ibadat, which is such as wudu, such as wudu. So now let's go to the next question, the fourth question, or the third question, which was, when is the time for the niyyah? When is the time for the niyyah? Malik rahimahullah, he said, يجزئ الصيام لا يجزئ الصيام إلا بنية قبل الفجر. So in Madhab al-Maliki, they said the niyyah cannot, the fasting will not be valid except if the person performed the niyyah before Fajr. Imam Malik again, he said, or in his madhab, mu'tamad ala madhhabi, he said, a person's fasting will not be valid till they have their niyyah before Fajr. في جميع أنواع الصوم. And Malik said, this is general in all kinds of fasting. So if you're Maliki, any kind of fasting that you do, you must have a niyyah before the Fajr. That's number one. والشافعي, Imam Shafi'i said, تجزئ النية بعد الفجر في النافلة ولا تجزئ في الفروض. In the Madhab Shafi'i, they said the niyyah has to be there before Fajr for the fard prayer, for the fard sawm, for the obligation of the fasting that are obligated. Give me 1 minute. I have to go. Guys, give me 1 minute. I have to go see Zainab. She's crying. 1 second. Assalamu alaikum again. So we said, Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, he said, the fasting, any obligatory fasting, such as fasting the month of Ramadan, and fasting kafara, and fasting nadhr. Kafara is when you violate one of the rules, some of the rules of Islam that can only be fixed by fasting. And nadhr, when you take an oath, for example. Nadhr is, when you promise that you will do something if you get something. If you tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I will give $10 if I throw this, then that become a nadhr. That become a nadhr, which is a vow. So these are obligations. These are fasting that are obligated upon the person. Some of them are obligated upon the person by Allah, and some of them are obligated upon the person by themselves. And some of them are obligated upon the person by violating a rule in Islam, by violating a principle in Islam. In that case, they will fast, and this fasting is not optional. It's not voluntary. They have to do it. Imam Shafi'i, he said, these three kinds of fasting, the person must have a niyyah before Fajr in order this fasting to be valid. But if it is the sunnah fasting, such as fasting day of Arafah, fasting every Thursday and Monday, fasting 3 days, ayamul bid in each month, like just fasting any time you want. He said you don't need a niyyah. You don't need a niyyah. But then there's a difference between Malik and Shafi here. Malik said any fasting that you fast, regardless, you must have a niyyah before the Fajr. Imam Shafi said, no, if it is obligation, you need intention before Fajr. If it is Sunnah, you don't need intention. You don't need intention. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he said, تجزئ النية بعد الفجر في الصيام المتعلق وجوبه بوقت معين مثل رمضان ونذر إمام ونذر أيام محدودة. He said, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he said, تجزئ النية بعد الفجر. He said, the niyyah will be sufficient if it is done after Fajr. If the niyyah was done after Fajr, is sufficient for their fasting that is connected with a specific time and specific days. Example of specific time is the month of Ramadan. Specific days is when somebody take a vow, when somebody give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a promise and specify the days. For example, if somebody says, Allah, if you give me the health, or if you give me this job, or you give me this wife or this husband, I will fast 3 days. This is general. You can fast those 3 days, whenever you want. But if you say, I will fast 3 days, for example, you will say, I will fast 3 days in the month of, for example, Sha'ban. I will fast 13 and 14 and 15. Those 3 days, they are not optional. You must fast them on those specific days. If you don't fast them on those specific days, you are sinful. You are sinful. You didn't keep your promise, and you are sinful. You punished for it. So Imam Abu Hanifa, he said, the fasting, the niyyah can be done after Fajr if the fasting that the person is fasting has a specific time period, which is the month of Ramadan, and also specific days. And he gave example of the nadr that was limited, and the days of that nadr were identified. Now, he said also, fin nafl, he said also it can be also done after Fajr, in the voluntary fasting. وَلَا يُجْزِئُ فِي الْوَاجِبِ فِي الذِّمَّةِ. But he said, the niyyah after Fajr will not sufficient if this fasting is upon the fasting that is upon like freeing oneself, or like fixing something, which means that you swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala something that is a lie, or you violate some of the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Somebody called their wife, for example, you haram, you just like my mother. Or if you want to come back, then all those things, they have specific rulings. Imam Abu Hanifa, he said that fasting needs an intention before Fajr. But other than this, even if it is after Fajr, it's sufficient. So here we have all the madhahibs here said the niyyah is part of the fasting. But Malik said it has to be before Fajr in all kinds of fasting. Shafi'i, he said, no, it can be done after Fajr if it is nafl. But if it is fard, it has to be done before Fajr. Abu Hanifa, he said, it can be done after Fajr, except in the fasting that is upon the person when he violates Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rules. And the reason for their differences here is the proofs that came is kind of like their. Okay, I'm going to take another break, brothers and sisters. Give me 1 minute. Go out now. Huh? Huh? So just stop. Sorry, I'm really trying to finish this chapter today, but I don't know. So the reason of the differences here is what sounds to be a contradiction between the dalil, between the proofs, between the ahadith. And there are the ahadith that came, and each hadith is talking about the niyyah in a different way. The first one is the hadith of Hafsa in Bukhari. He said, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man lam yubayyit as-siyama min al-layl fala siyama lah." ورواه مالك مرفوع. قال أبو عمرو حديث حفصة في إسناده اضطراب. Yes, I'm very sorry. Sundays, for now, I think it's going to be just like this. Inshallah, but almost there. So, the first hadith that came, hadith Hafsa, it says, the Prophet ﷺ said, if a person did not sleep with a niyyah, their fasting will not be valid. If a person did not go to sleep with the intention of fasting, their fasting will not be valid. But Abu Amr, he said, this hadith has ittirab, which means the hadith is shaky. The hadith is shaky. So number one. And the second hadith is the one that's narrated by Muslim. Hadith Aisha radiallahu anha. She said, قال لي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم هل عندكم شيء؟ قالت قلت يا رسول الله ما عندنا شيء قال فإني صائم. She said, one day in the morning, the Prophet ﷺ woke up and he asked for breakfast. Do you have anything for me to eat? Aisha radiallahu anha said, no, Ya Rasulullah, we have nothing for you to eat today. He said, then I am fasting. Then I am fasting. So then this happened after the niyyah, after the Fajr, of course. Another hadith said that Muawiyah one day climbed the minbar. He said, Ya Ahl al-Madinah, ayna ulama'ukum? So he kind of like calling the people of Medina, and he said, ayna ulama'ukum? Where are your scholars? سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, I heard the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام saying, اليوم هذا يوم عاشوراء ولم يكتب علينا صيامه وأنا صائم فمن شاء منكم فليصم ومن شاء فليفطر. He said, I heard the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام saying on the day of Ashura, he said, today is Ashura. I'm fasting, and if any one of you wants to fast, let them fast. And that was in the morning. And if any one of you doesn't want to fast also, they don't have to fast. So then all these ahadith, before Fajr, after Fajr, all is based on this ahadith. Inshallah, we will stop here.